a blessing to just see these faces on this computer. This is amazing. So happy for all the graduates that are coming out of LA Third, and just excited about life and being here. When I heard the sermon topic, fearlessly and wonderfully made, it kind of hit me because I went back to the idea of the womb. And within going to that, I thought about my grandmother who was working in the fields. And because of the time, she had identical twin girls and laid in the field all day because they didn't stop when they had babies. And out of her came those twins, out of her came my mother, and here I am, wonderfully, fearlessly alive and well, and thinking about my grandmother and her twin who lived to be 102 and 103, thinking about my mother who is now 97 years old, and knowing that whatever life God has for me, I will just live it at the way He gives it to me. So in thinking about the womb, also, I thought about the caterpillar that roams around like a little bug, and all of a sudden one day goes within to the womb and allows itself to be there in that moment, allows itself to take in all the energy of God, allows itself to take in everything that comes, and one day slowly but surely emerges with beautiful butterfly wings and changes its name and becomes all the light and the glow of what God looks like when we allow ourselves to go within in the womb idea and emerge as this wonderfully made human being. This morning, as I got up, I was thinking about this sermon because, sometimes, Reverend Lisa, and you guys know me, sometimes I'll write some notes and I don't know what happens. The notes disappear and then stuff just starts fluttering through my head. And so this morning I got up, notes, couldn't find them. And I turned on the television. I said, well, let me watch something on TV that'll give me a little inspiration. And there was this movie on, and it was the story of this young boy who would come to the planet. And he was a little chubby boy, and they used to call him Cupcake and all kinds of ice cream names, any little name they could throw at him, because all he did was eat. And he'd sit on the couch and he'd watch television. But as he was sitting there, one day his brother came in and he says, well, what you gonna do, Cupcake? He said, you've been sitting there eating them chips all day. He said, I'm gonna be an NFL football player. And one day you're gonna see me on television. And they looked at him and they said, well, what are you talking about? You don't even get off the couch to go get your food. Mama, bring it to you. He said, one day I will be an NFL football player and people will know who I am. And all through his life, one of the things that this little boy had was his faith. And he would always tell him, God will show me what to do. God will tell me what to do. My faith is in God. And his mother would always tell him, you always, he said, I believe in God, Mom. And his mother came into agreement, and they would sit, and sometimes they would just stare at the TV and she'd say, I see what you see. So over a period of years, he was a chubby little boy, and then he decided to go out and to try to get into college so that he could start playing football. And when he got there, he was so fat, the coach told him, he said, we want big guys, we don't want fat guys. He said, well, coach, I'm gonna do what I gotta do because I'm gonna be an NFL football player. And so he began to get up early in the morning before anybody was up, and he would run and he would walk and he would see himself playing on that field. He was in the womb, the mind of the growth of the womb. He was in the womb of God, and he would see himself running on the football field and being an NFL player. And so when he got to college and he was overweight, he worked harder than anybody. And the guys would tease him. But then as they began to watch him, they watched him with respect, because when he would fall down, he would get up and he would say, thank you, Lord, for getting me up. If he would bump into one of them, he'd say, excuse me, I didn't mean to do it. And they would tell him, you're too polite to play in the NFL. He says, I'm going to be an NFL player. And so he eventually got his weight down and he became an NFL player. he began to tell them that God was showing him the path, that he knew which way to go because he heard the voice of God. But what happened was all of the people saw him as such an example that they began to say and do and believe in the things that he did. And people began to see their lives changing. All because he cocooned on the couch and without movement, he allowed his mind to grow and he allowed himself to see what God saw. He allowed that little seed that God had planted in him in his mother's womb. And he allowed God to use him so that he could become this football player. He left such an impression on his town that the people did monuments and everything to him because at the early age of 22, he was coming home to tell his mother about an award he was going to get, and he was killed. And his brother said, well, how could that happen? He was only 22 years old and his life is over. But you see, he always told him, I always dream of going home. He says, and when you look for me, I'll be home with the Lord. He never thought about what he had to do because he followed that path that came to him in the womb of his mother. Because we never know what seed is being planted when the infinite plants us in the womb. When he plants us in the womb of LA Third Church, when he plants you in the womb of taking a class and not knowing that you're going to become a practitioner, but that light comes on and says, this is what you're going to do. And a little girl who's now going to Arizona State College, it was planted in the womb when she was with her mother. You see, God is planting seeds. We are fearlessly and wonderfully made. The fearlessness is the peace and the knowledge that we don't know where we come from. We don't know where we're going, but we're standing in that womb, that mind of God, and allowing that spirit to direct our path. Years ago, I had the opportunity to do a service for a young man. He passed at the age of 26. When he was a little boy, his mother loved him so much and she spoiled him rotten. And we used to say, girl, she said, I just love him. And he was a sweet boy. He went through school and everything. And one day he decided to take a road to the left and he became a gangbanger. And he was such a gangbanger that he was the leader of the gang and his mom didn't even know. And he ended up doing some terrible things. And one day some young men drove up on him and they shot him down. And they killed him. And his mother called me. She said, Ruth, could you please do this service? And I said, of course. I've known Ron his whole life. And when I talked to Ron, I said, God, what am I going to say about Ron that will make a difference in somebody's life? Because the funeral was covered with all these little gangbangers coming from everywhere. I mean, they was like drinking their gin and juice, smoking their weed, and talking about what they was going to do when the funeral was over. I said, Lord, give me a word. And I sat there and he said, tell him about the life of Jesus. And I said, what? And he said, well, his life was so much like the life of Jesus. Think about it. And as I got up and I spoke about the life that he had when he was a little boy, where he was allowed to be a child and have fun. I talked about the things that his mother had done for him and the things that I had seen him do in school. And then I talked about how I saw him change that road and take on the walk that God had for him to be a gangbanger, to do all the things he could, and to lay here today and show you that these are the results of what happens when you choose a certain road. And then I thought about that because that's exactly what Jesus did. He lived his life as a child, and then one day he took on the road and he began to do the teachings of God. You see, we don't know how we're going to teach. Every day is a teaching, learning day. And everything that we do begins in the womb because we have no idea what seed God has planted. We have no idea who and what we are. And one day we're here and the next day we're there. We'll say, how did I get here? It was already there in you because we were fearlessly and wonderfully made. And God knew the path that we would take. But the reason I'm talking about these young guys is because sometimes we think that we show things when we get older, we become wiser. Or we think that the young people don't have any idea of what's going on. But I've been watching all through this pandemic. And these young people have made some amazing moves. They've opened up businesses. They started teaching on computers. They're just doing all kinds of stuff. Things that we did, but we don't remember. Because we think that now that we change age, that we no longer have the value. But you still have the value because you're still part of that fearlessly and wonderfully made spirit and soul that God sent through the womb of your mother. So at any age, You can do whatever you want. So this new channel came on Instagram or something the other day, and it's called something 70, and it talks about what we're going to do with the end of our lives. And I said, how can they talk about the end of our lives when every day we're just beginning our lives? When we go to sleep at night, we go back into the womb. God is reversing whatever negative we were thinking about and bringing in the positive. New ideas are being created in us, and we give it up because we think at a certain age we got to kick back. We can't do it anymore. Nobody's going to respect us. Nobody's going to see us. Nobody's going to understand us. But what it is that you have the power through that infinite mind that was planted in you in that womb as a seed to be anything you want at any age. So we got old people who are sitting around waiting to die. We got people who don't know what to do with themselves. They say, I can't do anything. You can do whatever you want. You are still that infinite new seed planted in the mind of God in the womb to come forth as that butterfly and be whatever you choose. What I've learned about myself is that I can't listen to what people say. Everything that I did, I would never have believed I would have done it when I was a child, because at that time my mind was somewhere else. But God had them seeds planted. And one day I woke up and something said, do this or do that. And I would say, well, in my mind, can I do it? And then I said, well, I'm going to give it a shot. And if it don't work, I'll just wake up tomorrow and do something new. But here I am at this age, and I love what happened in the past, but I'm living in this moment right here, fearlessly and wonderfully made. Woke up this morning out of the cocoon and the womb of God, and now he's giving me the idea and the words to say to you. I'm talking about ages because it doesn't matter. We're ageless and timeless. We cannot get caught up in what men say about you got to work on the job 30 years, retire, and then this is what happens. Because every day you wake up, you have the opportunity to be whatever it is you want. You have a new day, the same day that 12-year-old had, the same day the 14-year-old had, the same day the 60-year-old, the same day the 97-year-old has. My mom told me she just had eye surgery. She said, Ruth, I can see better than I've ever seen. She doesn't have to wear glasses. She's been putting her walker to the side and trying to learn to walk around the house. I said, Mom, what are you doing? She said, I'm going to the daycare center in a couple of weeks, Ruth, and I got to be ready because I might find a new boyfriend there. You see, she's still thinking about moving ahead. She's not looking back at what she had. She's moving ahead. She's practicing her walking. She's got her eyes together. She said, do my hair, cut it short because I look better when it's real short. Takes the lines out my face. She gets her French tip on her nails. 97 years old. And then we got some people who are saying they can't do anything. Because we don't know how long our life is going to be. I talked about those young guys leaving early, but they completed their mission. And that's the only thing that you know. When it's your time, you're going to finish your mission. You don't know what the day or the hour is, so why are you tripping on that? Why you wake up in the morning, look in the mirror and say, oh, girl, you better wake up and see what God sees fearlessly and wonderfully made. That you have the ability to write books, to tell stories, to dance, to sing. And don't let the gray hair fool you. Some people just jealous because you got it. You see, we got to remember who we are. We are infinite beings. We're always in the womb. Every night when we go to sleep, we enter the womb. We shut everything down. And much like the caterpillar, we allow ourselves to be there in that moment so that when we emerge with the wings of the butterfly, another beautiful being, having another day to be anything that you want. And we block ourselves by putting up limitations of what society says. Rules are made for people who need them. And many times when people don't know what to do, they'll come up with a new rule. Oh, you can't do this because you're too old. Or you can't do it because you're too young. Or you can't do it because you live in the ghetto. Or you can't do it because you came from the South and you didn't come from California. But it doesn't matter where you came from. It doesn't matter what people think you are. This little boy sat on the couch. He was a little chubby kid living in a little small town. a town nobody heard of, but before he left this planet, they wrote newspaper articles about him and they knew him all over the United States. He spoke his word. He said, I'm going to be an NFL football player. He didn't put a time on it. He didn't say how long. He achieved the goal and God showed how he could work through it and get it done. He was just a chubby boy. The coach told him, you can't play football. You a walk-in, you broke. You don't, your mama can't, you got to get a scholarship. All the things came up and he said, I'm going to be an NFL football player. He was the first guy to graduate from his college with going to the NFL with a master's degree and all of the things that he didn't even know was going to open up for him because he stayed on his path and he never gave up on what he was. Why do we give up on who and what we are? Why do we allow other people to define and tell us who we are? Why do we care what they say? Because at the end of the day, it has absolutely nothing to do with what anyone says or thinks, but you. You are that infinite mind of God. You have the ability to create anything. How do you think Joe Biden got to be president? He's in his 70s. He didn't let anything stop him. Somewhere along the way, in his thinking, he said, I'm going to be president. He didn't define it by age. How do you think President Obama became president? A little black boy. History wasn't that great. They say he smoked a little marijuana. But who cared? God had the vision for him to be the president of the United States. What I'm talking about is getting past the limitation of what you think is happening, what you're sitting here all up in your coronavirus tripping about at home, what's going to happen with the church, will we get back together, what's going to happen, I don't know if my kids are going to have work, we don't have food. Everything is available. This is the most prosperous time on the universe. This is the most prosperous time. The government is giving you money. The schools are open where you, in the year and a half that we've been going through this corona, you could have went through a training program and did anything you wanted to. If you wanted to exercise and work on your body because you had a little arthritis, you had time to get your butt up in the morning, go take a walk. We have had time to do everything. For the people who were working too hard, you've had a year to rest. So what if you got laid off from your job? They gave you $600 extra on your unemployment. You see, God is opening doors and you guys are missing them. Some people took that money and threw it away. Some people took the money and made it work. Some people took advantage of getting the education. Some people didn't. It's all teaching. It's all a lesson. What we're here to do is observe and choose because you have the gift of choice. Observe and choose. Every night you have the opportunity to go into the cocoon, into the womb. Once again, entering the womb. And within that womb, you let go of everything. You come empty of everything that you think you know, and you allow the infinite to give you the idea so that when you emerge the next morning with your butterfly wings, you can be anything that you want to be. Anything. You have the opportunity within this life, whether you have a college degree, whether you have a 6th grade education, whether you like the little chunky boy sitting on the couch, whether you like Ron, who was spoiled, whether you like my mother at 97, who still thinks she's a diva. Comparing yourself to nobody, because all those things that Reverend Lisa read off about me, I started laughing. I said, I can't believe I did that. I can't believe it. And I don't even linger in it because I'm like, God, what else can I do? Because I'm only here for God. A spiritual being, allowing myself to be in this human stuff. And every now and then little crazy stuff show up so I can realize it's real human. But then I stay in that mind of God. I go to bed that night. I go back into the womb. And when I emerge, the butterfly comes out and she says, once again, I'm going to start. I'm going to do it. And God gives me a new idea. And I call Reverend Lisa. I said, girl, this is what I'm about to do now. You see, because I'm always open at the top. We are New Thought. We say we're metaphysicians. We're in New Thought religion. And we don't even call it a religion. We call it a teaching. Because every day in New Thought, open at the top, we're teaching and learning. That's why when I talk to you, I'm not really a preacher. I'm more of a talker. Because at the end of the day, I don't know it all. I can't tell you how to get to heaven or hell. I don't even know if they exist. But what I do know is this moment that we're in right now is the most important moment that we will ever have. Choose what you want, live in it, grab it, hold on to it. Don't worry about the how, because one of the things that really tickles me about all the things that they say I did is I never thought about how. God was speaking in my ear and I said, well, let me see if I can start doing it. I started my hair salon business with $100 and an idea. And then this is a wonderful thing. I had the opportunity to work with handicapped people to learn my trade. This woman had a school, a home, and she hired me for $50 a week, and I had 20 people I could work on. The best thing about working there is that I learned how wonderful they are, how smart they are. And we label them as handicapped and autistic. And these are little geniuses sitting around us that we're missing out on because we got labels. They label you because you're Black or you're not white or whatever. We label everything. We got to take off the labels, peel back the layers. And when I was working with those people, I had the opportunity. God was in my ear saying, practice, practice, practice. But while I was practicing, I was learning from them. I learned kindness. I learned about love. One of the two people there got married and had a baby and got themselves out of that place. They had little education, but they said, we can do it. And the government helped them and their family. One of the girls there had a voice that was like an opera singer. You think about Stevie Wonder, blind, but here he is singing. And then you talk about the limitations you put on yourself. Go back to the womb, go back to the cocoon. Go back to that fearlessly, wonderfully made concept of what you are. And remember that the gifts are everywhere. We got to quit labeling everything and open our eyes and just really see it. And allow ourselves to be so immersed in it that more and more and more reveals itself. And then we realize I can do more. I can be more. If I can see, if I can speak, and these people over here who are so-called handicapped can do all the wonderful things that I saw those people do. They taught me. I thought I was there to get something from them. They gave to me and made me such a better person. And when I look around the world, I don't look at colors. I don't look at shapes. I just accept the gifts of, I'm with a person and they have something to offer. We got to get out our judgment. The judgments we do it ourselves. We look in the mirror, oh, I got a line or a wrinkle. Thank God I lived long enough to get that line. Don't be a hater. Because at the end of the day, this is who I am. I can't be anything less, and it can always be more. You were fearlessly and wonderfully made. If you don't know it, take a look in the mirror. No one looks like you. You're absolutely wonderful. They don't have your skin color, all these browns. Look at us. We're all different, but yet we're the same. And what is that? Created out of the infinite mind of God. Come through that womb and emerge as a butterfly, able to do whatever it is we choose in our lives. Don't limit yourself. I don't care about your age. Get over it. Get over it and be grateful and thankful that here I am. Somebody asked me how old I am. I said, I don't know. I'm not worried about how old I am. I'm living and enjoying this day. I still put on short dresses and high heels. 20-year-olds ain't got nothing on me. I get compliments on my legs all the time. You know why? Because I plan it that way. I put a lot of grease on them so they shine. But at the end of the day, I love what God gave me. And they're not even big legs, girls. Trust me on that. But at the end of the day, I love my legs because they take me everywhere I want to go. Love yourself. Look in the mirror and look at how fearlessly and wonderfully you're made. And if there's something you want to change, go into the cocoon. What is the cocoon? Meditation. You don't have to wait to go to sleep at night. I tell my children when something's going on in their mind, I say, click that Google, hit 15-minute meditation music. Turn it on and don't move till the music go off. Allow yourself to sit with spirit. You can do it on your break. You can do it sitting on the toilet. You can do it sitting in the tub. You can do it walking down the street. Give up the excuses about what your life isn't. Remember who you are, that you were fearlessly and wonderfully made through the mind of God, came through your mother's womb. And here you are with all this magnificent stuff that you're sitting on. You got enough education because you got the mind of God. Did Jesus have a book? They didn't show me it, but did he have a book? What was he reading all that stuff out of? He was going within. And when he needed to do something, he'd tell him, I'm going into the garden. I got to spend some time by myself. I got to spend some time so I can hear what my father, I got to hear what this infinite mind is teaching me and telling me so I can come back out and share it with you. He told them, everything that I do, these things I do, you can do in greater things. And here we are afraid to believe that I can touch it, I can help heal. Because the only way I can help is that I talk to them so that they get their head right. And so that they have the faith that I have, because it's all about faith. It's always a choice within the faith. You are so in ownership of everything that goes in your life, you better think about it. You can't blame nobody for nothing. Nobody. If you're overweight, you ate the food. If you're skinny, you didn't eat. If you didn't go to college, you chose not to. You can go to college. It has nothing to do with education. It's about nothing but reading a book. Do you think that they know more than you? They just read more books and decided they wanted to be a scientist. So what? Decide what you want and be it. I remember I was teaching a class one time when I was taking my training at UCLA for teachers, to be a teacher. And so part of it, I told the people, I said, the field that I've chosen to work in, you can become a millionaire. And so when the class was over, the instructor told me, he said, well, you know, Miss Lemon, you did a great job, but why did you tell them they could be a millionaire? I said, because they can. I said, I make a lot of money, Miss John. I don't think you know who I am. Don't look at the way I'm dressed and think you know me. I make a lot of money. And then some days I didn't. But it didn't matter because I never worried about it, because guess what? God is my source. I'm not going to starve. Don't be afraid to go for what you want. Don't let your age stop you from moving in the direction that you want. I would say to you, trust God more than you trust any man that you sit next to, any woman. Trust God in you. Know that you were fearlessly and wonderfully made. Know that God has directions for you that you haven't even got into because you've been chicken. Get up in the morning and say, God, here I am. I want a new idea. I'm ready to do some new things. I don't care about my age. I don't care about my size. I'm not putting up no blocks. The handicapped people I work with, no blocks. Oh my God, were they my greatest teachers. I thank God every day for having met them. I thank God for the movie I saw this morning where this little boy said, I don't care what nobody say about the chubby little kid. I'm going to be an NFL player. I don't care what people say about Reverend Ruth. I'm going to be Reverend Ruth. And I've had a lot of things said about me. But do you think I care? Heck no. I am that God is. You better, if you don't know, you know now. You better take a look. Get yourself together. Go look in the mirror and remember who you are. Let your life, if you haven't been living it 100%, go do it. Start now. When we get off of here, if you didn't meditate with the music before the Rena played, which was so beautiful, by the way, Rena, but hit that Google, turn on 15 minutes of meditation music. Allow yourself to go to places you've never been before and open your eyes. And when you come out of that meditation, let your wings flap and know that you're a butterfly. You can do any dark thing you want to do. Be you. My little girlfriend say, do you. I love it when she says it. Because you are fearlessly and wonderfully made. Don't live your life by the rules of somebody else. Know that the God within you wants its light to shine. Know that you are the most wonderful thing on the planet. And know that whatever you decide is all right, because you can choose again. There are absolutely no mistakes. You are magnificent. When God sees you, God smiles because God sees itself and says, wonderfully, wonderfully made. Thank you so much for letting me speak this morning. I hope I made a little bit of sense to you. And if you feel like I do, just say hallelujah, amen, and so it is, and have a wonderful day. Thank you so much.
Hallelujah and amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Ruth. How wonderful to end our month fearfully and wonderfully made. I pray that you all remember that for the rest of your lives. We have tapped in this month the feminine qualities, displaying the energy of our loving, nurturing aspect, the compassionate side, and the masculine energy, which we will hear about next month. is the wisdom generating power. So when we recognize the two, we've understood our loving, compassionate, nurturing nature this month. And when we bring the two together, we are absolutely displaying the loveliness of God, our Creator, fearfully and wonderfully made. So we are absolutely grateful that I came the first 2 Sundays to lay the foundation of what that feminine aspect and energy is for all of us. And then Naima came on the 3rd Sunday in order to be of service and love and care. She reminded us of what that mothering aspect is. And when I talked with Martell after her sermon, Martell displayed what she got out of it, and that she was telling us, Naima told us, that before we can nurture and assist and help anyone and care for anyone, we have to nurture ourselves. So we must take care of that little boy and girl that's within us. Because, you know, as being young children, we were to be seen and not heard. But now that we know the truth, we can absolutely choose and know ourselves, the Spirit of God that's within us. And then last Sunday, Reverend Marquita Pierre McAllister shared with us her message of fearfully and wonderfully made. She reminded us and took us to a radio station. What was that? WPPG. And she said the W was wonderful, to be humble, full of wonder, and that the P was purposeful, beingness, that we are so much more than we think. And then she reminded us of the other P, prayerful, being powerful, commanding the law. And then the G, grateful, giving thanks all day, every day, and making a habit of it. This month, Reverend Ruth came and closed us out. I love what she said about the caterpillar. It was an excellent example of change, the change that's always taking place within us. She reminded us that our faith guides us on what to do, trusting and believing in God. She really capped the song that Dexter played with Tamala Mann, Watch God Provide. And she reminded us to be still in that. So I pray that all of us got something out of each Sunday. We had 5. So I pray that we got it, that we mix it together, and that we're able to emerge as the butterfly that God created us to do. So I want to thank you, Reverend Ruth, for a wonderful lesson. And I want to remind you to read your chats afterwards, because people sent you some wonderful messages.